Emperor Martu's primary sensory appendages trace the holographic display of human space, his smooth epidermis reflecting the soft blue glow of thousands of inhabited worlds. Each point of light represented a human settlement, and their sheer number made his thoracic cavity constrict with both desire and irritation. How had they spread so far so fast? Fascinating creatures, he murmured, manipulating the display to zoom in on one of their 100 capital worlds. Such inefficiency in their governance. 100 capitals. Pure chaos. Behind him, First Advisor Craftel shifted uncomfortably, her sensor arrays dimming in concern. Most radiant Emperor, the human's decentralized approach has proven remarkably resilient. When the Hive Mind Collective attempted to, the Hive Mind Collective was a brutish congregation of single-minded drones, Martu interrupted, his epidermis flashing patterns of dismissal. We are the technocratic imperium. Our computational models are superior. Our strategic AIs are unmatched. Our society is built on pure logic and efficiency. He expanded the hologram, watching as trade routes between human worlds formed a complex web of interconnections. Their ships seemed to move almost randomly, following no discernible pattern that his analysts could detect. It was maddening. Their lack of centralized control will be their undoing, Martu continued, more to himself than to Craftel. No species can maintain cohesion across such vast distances without proper hierarchical structures and clearly defined protocols. The Emperor's tertiary brain began calculating resource allocation for the invasion as his primary brain focused on diplomatic niceties. The secondary brain, as always, monitored his empire's vast bureaucracy. This was the way of the technocratic imperium, multiple parallel processes, all working in perfect synchronization. "Prepare my diplomatic vessel," he commanded. "We will begin with New Terra." Their arrogance in naming their worlds after their lost cradle world is telling. His epidermis flickered with patterns of subtle amusement. They cling to their past while failing to secure their future. Craftel's sensor arrays pulsed with warning patterns. "Emperor, our preliminary studies of human historical records suggest their historical records are irrelevant," Martu declared. "The past is merely data, and data without proper algorithmic interpretation is meaningless. We will observe them directly, catalog their weaknesses, and then," his wetted and towering form shimmered with anticipation, "then we will bring them the gift of true efficiency." As his flagship's quantum engines hummed to life, Martu allowed himself a moment of satisfaction. Soon human space would know true order. Soon their chaotic expansion would be redirected and refined. Soon their 100 capitals would be reduced to one, his own. If only he had known what awaited him in the heritage district of New Terra, he might have kept his flagship pointed toward home. The diplomatic vessel's quantum crystal hull shimmered as it descended through New Terra's atmosphere, its adaptive camouflage adjusting to match the world's aesthetic sensibilities. Emperor Martu found the accommodation distinctly unnecessary. Efficiency shouldn't bow to aesthetics, but his xenologist had insisted on the gesture. "Welcome to New Terra," Emperor Martu, the human diplomatic chief, smiled, extending a hand in their curious greeting ritual. "I'm Director Meadows. We're honored to host the leader of the technocratic imperium." Martu's tertiary brain noted how the human's smile didn't quite reach their eyes, while his primary brain managed the social interaction. His secondary brain continued monitoring the constant stream of data from his empire. "The honor," he resonated carefully, "is mutual." The landing platform offered a spectacular view of New Terra's capital megalopolis. Unlike the precise geometric patterns of Imperium cities, this one sprawled in organic curves and seemingly random clusters. Yet Martu's tactical analysis subroutines noted with irritation, it somehow functioned with remarkable efficiency. "We've prepared a tour of our heritage district," Director Meadows continued, gesturing toward a massive structure that appeared to be constructed from both ancient stone and modern quantum glass. "It's where we maintain connections to our roots while embracing the future." Fascinating, Martu resonated, his epidermis maintaining careful patterns of diplomatic interest, while his tertiary brain cataloged defensive weaknesses. "Your species' dedication to preserving its past is unique." As they walked through the heritage district, Martu observed countless inefficiencies. Streets curved when they could have been straight. Buildings varied in height and design when standardization would have been more practical. Humans of all ages moved about in patterns his predictive algorithms struggled to map. Then he heard it, a sound his universal translator identified as children's laughter. Ah, Director Meadows' smile became genuinely warm. We're approaching the Educational Entertainment Center. Would you care to observe? It's one of our proudest achievements. Martu's epidermis nearly betrayed his excitement. A central location where young humans were trained. This could provide invaluable tactical data. We would be most interested, he resonated carefully. The center rose before them, a sprawling complex of multiple levels connected by transparent tubes and gravity lifts. Through the quantum glass walls, Martu could see hundreds of human children engaged in various activities. Your young gather here for training? He inquired, trying to maintain a diplomatic tone. Director Meadows laughed. Training? Oh no, Emperor Martu, they come here to play. The word play barely had time to process through his universal translator before Martu saw something that would change the course of galactic history. A group of children gathered around a holographic display, casually manipulating reality in ways that would make his empire's best strategist weep. Emperor Martu's three brains struggled to process what he was witnessing. His towering form inadvertently displayed patterns of confusion before he could suppress them. Before him, a human child, no more than 12 standard solar cycles old, according to his xenological database, was simultaneously managing 3 different strategic scenarios. On her left, an ancient game of wooden pieces called chess was in progress. To her right, black and white stones formed complex patterns in something called Go. But it was the central holographic display that truly caught his attention. What is she controlling? He asked Director Meadows, his universal translator struggling to maintain diplomatic overtones. Oh, that's Civilization 176, Meadows replied casually. It's an educational entertainment program. Historical simulation mixed with strategic planning. Rather basic stuff, really. Been around in one form or another since before we left Earth. Martu's tertiary brain dedicated itself entirely to analyzing the game's complexity. The child was managing an empire spanning multiple galactic arms, juggling diplomatic relations with 17 different AI civilizations, maintaining trade routes through contested space, and simultaneously researching 40 different technological paths. Basic. His translator glitched slightly on the word. A young boy at the next station called out to the girl. Hey Maria, want to join our multiplayer campaign? We're doing a speed run, solar system to galactic empire in under 50 turns. Sure, Maria responded without looking away from her current games. Let me just finish this chess match and complete my current trade negotiations with the Silicon Consciousness in Civi. 2 minutes, tops. Martu's primary brain nearly crashed when he realized she was indeed about to wrap up all 3 games successfully in under 2 minutes. His secondary brain automatically ran probability calculations on such an occurrence. The numbers were astronomical. You're young, they do this for entertainment, he asked Director Meadows. Oh yes. Games help develop problem-solving skills, resource management, diplomatic thinking, all sorts of useful things. Though some parents worry their kids spend too much time on the classics and should try newer games. Newer games? All 3 of Martu's brains synchronized in horrified fascination. Maria, there is quite traditional in her tastes. Most kids her age prefer the more complex simulations. You know, the ones that incorporate quantum probability matrices and 11-dimensional resource management. At another station, a group of children were gathered around a massive holographic display, apparently running a simulation of managing an entire galactic supercluster's economy while simultaneously conducting warfare across multiple parallel dimensions. We find it helps them develop creative thinking, Meadows continued, apparently oblivious to the fact that Martu's pulsating form was displaying clear signs of distress. Though sometimes I think we may be making these games too simple. Children need challenges, after all. Martu's tertiary brain, dedicated to military analysis, chose that exact moment to complete its evaluation of the strategic capabilities being displayed by mere children at play. The results caused all 3 of his brains to momentarily synchronize in pure, unadulterated terror. Emperor Martu accessed his empire's strategic databases with his secondary brain, while his primary brain maintained diplomatic protocols, and his tertiary brain continued analyzing the children's gameplay. The data streaming in from his empire only intensified his growing sense of dread. His civilization's most advanced military AI could manage, at most, 4 simultaneous strategic scenarios. These human children were treating dozens of parallel strategic situations as mere entertainment. Emperor Martu. A small voice interrupted his spiraling thoughts. He looked down to see a young human, perhaps 8 solar cycles old, holding up a worn wooden chessboard. Would you like to play? I can teach you the rules. His face betrayed him, flickering patterns of alarm before he could suppress them. The child's offer seemed innocent, but Martu's tactical subroutines were screaming warnings. He had just watched this same child orchestrate a complex trade war in Civilization 176 that would have bankrupted 3 sectors of his empire. I must decline. He managed to resonate, backing away slightly. His tertiary brain noted with horror that his motion displayed classic prey behavior. Are you sure? The child asked, setting up the pieces anyway. It's just a simple game. Look, these are called pawns, and this is the queen. Director Meadows noticed Martu's distress. Is everything all right, Emperor? Martu's 3 brains synchronized in panic as he accessed the latest analysis from his empire's Xenology division. They had just finished processing archived footage from something called the International Youth Strategy Gaming Championships. The numbers were impossible. The tactical complexity, the strategic depth, the resource management skills displayed by humans who weren't even considered adults by their own society. You're young. He resonated weakly. They compete in these games. Oh yes, Meadows smiled. Though we try not to make it too competitive at their age. We want them to enjoy learning. Learning. The word echoed through all 3 of Martu's brains. These weren't games. This was training. An entire civilization that trained its young through increasingly complex strategic simulations disguised as entertainment. The child was still holding out a chess piece, smiling innocently. Are you sure you don't want to play? I'll go easy on you. Martu shook with hysterical laughter. Go easy on him. He was the supreme leader of the technocratic imperium, master of 1,000 worlds, commander of the galaxy's most advanced strategic AI systems, and this human child was offering to go easy on him. The true horror finally crystallized in his minds. If this was how their children played, what were their adults capable of? Emperor Martu's towering form trembled as he activated the quantum entanglement communicator. Around him, the Educational Entertainment Center continued its normal activities, children laughing and playing their impossibly complex games. His tertiary brain noted that several of them were now running simulations that incorporated tactics his military hadn't even theorized yet. The faces of his High Council materialized in his visual cortex, their cool skin dripping with nervous perspiration. Most Radiant Emperor, First Advisor Craftel began. Your vital patterns are watch. Martu interrupted, his epidermis flickering with urgency. He began transmitting the footage he'd gathered. Watch and understand why we must surrender. Immediately. The council shifted from confusion to disbelief as they observed children casually manipulating strategic scenarios that would overwhelm their most advanced military computers. They watched teenagers coordinating multidimensional resource chains while simultaneously conducting diplomatic negotiations across parallel timelines. They saw young humans treating as entertainment what the Imperium would consider advanced military training. But they're just young ones, a council member protested weakly. Surely they're adults exactly. Martu shook with emphasis. These are their children at play. Consider what their actual military strategists must be capable of. Consider what their economists, their diplomats, their warriors can do. On the quantum feed, Maria had just completed her speed run campaign, achieving galactic dominion in 48 turns. She celebrated with a victory dance while simultaneously starting a new game with apparently even more complex parameters. Most Radiant Emperor, Craftel resonated carefully. Surely our superior technology. No, Martu interrupted. No. We thought we were the masters of efficiency, of strategy, of technological implementation. We were wrong. Their children play with concepts our best minds struggle to grasp. He turned to Director Meadows, his soft form shifting to display formal patterns. The entirety of the High Council watched through his eyes as he lowered himself to the ground in the ultimate gesture of submission. Director Meadows, he resonated with all the formality his species could muster. On behalf of the technocratic Imperium, I hereby pledge our complete and eternal allegiance to humanity. The children nearby paused their games to watch. The young one who had offered the chess game approached, still holding the queen piece. Does this mean you'll play chess with me now? The child asked hopefully. Martu's form shuddered with what his species would recognize as a combination of hysterical amusement and profound respect. Young one, he resonated carefully. I fear I would be greatly outmatched. And that was how the mighty technocratic imperium became humanity's most loyal ally, not through force of arms or economic pressure, but through the simple observation of human children at play. In later years, Martu would become known as one of humanity's strongest supporters in the galactic community, though he never did accept any offers to play chess. Thank you so much for listening to this story. I hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to leave it a like and to subscribe if you'd like to see more. Feel free to comment and share it as well. With all that said, go on and check out the video in the top left. I think you might like it.